This is my first episode of Beyond the Locker Room, the video version of it. My name is Brian. For those of you that don't know, I had a blog, and I did about 5 or 6, maybe 7, I think, blog posts. Started thinking that maybe I should try a different format. The writing aspect of it, I wasn't getting into it. Just found it a bit of a chore after a while. So I decided to go and switch this to a video format and see how this works out. So I'm gonna make these videos pretty short, sweet, just my thoughts on what's going on in sports right now, and I'm gonna consider this one kind of like an all NBA, all basketball, I guess, episode for lack of a better word. So I'm just gonna throw a few things out there for those of you that are just for those of you that are checking out to see what's going on in the NBA. A few things going on in the NBA right now, I would say. Obviously, let's start off with last night's All-Star game. West win 143-138. Overall, the game was one of the weaker games we've seen in a long time. There was really no big plays, no big moments where everyone could go back and talk about things. A few little interplays between a few players, but overall, and I'll get into that in a few moments, but overall it was pretty mundane, pretty laissez-faire. I won't get into the entertainment, so I'll leave that. And my boys that I was watching it with know my opinions on that one, so I'll leave that one alone. I think Neo and Alicia have taken enough hits for today. As far as the game, I think I just want to start with a few items. Let's see here. Let's start with CP3. That's the man of the hour. That's the guy who won the MVP. I think it was the right choice. I mean, Durant had some possibilities. Blake Griffin came on strong at the end, but I think really he set the pace. He set the tone early. He kind of reminded me of some of the old, Isaiah Magic moments during the '80s, where they used to set the tone in the first quarter of what they wanted to do, how they wanted to, what type of pace they wanted to run the game at, and I think he did a great job of doing that, setting up everybody, then looking a little bit for his offense in the second half. So, props out to CP3 for doing his thing. I think also, too, he was making a statement on actually stating, hey, I'm the best point guard in the game. Pay me my money at the end of the year. So I think for all those GMs that were sitting there watching as well, too, you know who you are. Hello, Brooklyn. LA, of course, the Clippers, potentially the Lakers. You never know with them, and I mean quite a few other teams. Of course, my team in this case, the Mavericks as well. Looking at as potential suitors, they definitely got their money's worth last night, and I think he definitely pumped up his stock a lot. I think also another big thing that came out of it. Well, let's say a big thing. Another little sidebar thing, I should say. Let's put it that way. It was Chris Bosh. I think with Chris, it seems like he's always ends up being the punching bag. Doesn't matter what scenario, what the situation is. I mean, if you look at how the day started for Bosh, he got the opportunity to get the start, which was great over for in his case to replace Rondo. He's playing with his teammates, LeBron and Wade, and he started off pretty good. I think he hit a few jumpers to start the game off, and then it quickly went downhill where I'm not sure if there was any sort of, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Any sort of like conspiracy against Bosh on kind of making I guess being the butt of the joke in this case. But quite a few times he was he's put out there on the island. He was on some skates. I mean, obviously there's one time where Chris Paul put it through his legs, kind of embarrassed him. I think another time, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Westbrook that did it to him too. So he had his moments, not in the most positive light, but it was fun in this case to see. I always find it interesting to see how guys treat each other during the All-Star game. You kind of find out what the tier system is as far as who's the top dogs and who's kind of the guys that are in the subordinate positions and kind of who they like to crack on. So unfortunately, Chris seems to be the butt of the jokes a little bit with some of the guys, some of the elite players, but he's still one of the top big men in the league, and it was still a little fun to kind of watch how that played out. Last point I wanted to notice was a couple minutes left to go in the game. It's still kind of like a bit in jeopardy on who's going to win, if the West can hold on or not. But Kobe being Kobe has to have his moment in the spotlight, and he made sure everyone saw that he was out there D'ing up LeBron. So I mean, it's a good moment for Kobe fans. I mean, I'm a LeBron guy, but Kobe, obviously first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best players ever. I mean, gotta give him his due. But I did find it interesting that he wanted to play so hard on LeBron at that very moment. Obviously, with a lot of the talk around the basketball world about what Jordan had to say about his thoughts on both players, it was interesting to see, Kobe try to kind of, make his point in this case, at least where he thought things stood. It was interesting also to notice that he didn't really have much to say over the weekend about the situation. You heard Jordan speak, you heard a lot of other guys speak, Barkley, Mailman, Bill Russell, about the discussion. Of course, LeBron even had his 2 cents about it, which I thought were very thoughtful comments about it, where, I think in a way I kind of agree with LeBron to some extent. You can't judge it purely on championships, because if that was the case, Bill Russell would be the best player ever, and a lot of times I hear a lot of guys, including friends of mine, where we have these discussions on Facebook and other places, Bill Russell's name's never mentioned. So, I mean, you can't have it both ways for folks that want to make that point, but, I mean, it's a valid point both ways if you want to judge it 5 versus 1, but if you go down that path, then 11's better than 6. So, I mean, there's arguments to be made, but, you put yourself a bit behind the eight ball when you make that argument. But overall, it was interesting to see Kobe wanted to make his little statement about it, and we'll see how it plays out throughout the rest of the season about that, and how, if it has any sort of impact at all with him or LeBron or anyone else, Durant, that wants to put their name in the discussion. So we'll see how that plays out. Which leads me to the last point, just my thoughts in the second half of the season. I think right now it's an interesting time. I think there's Miami and everybody else, to be honest with you. That's how I see it right now. I think Oklahoma City's dropped a bit of a step in the last couple of weeks, playing a little on and off. I still have concerns about their bench when crunch time comes and their front court. I just think there's less a lack of balance in this case here, where you're just not getting much scoring outside their big two. Kevin Martin in the playoffs is unknown at this point. I mean, he's had some moments early on in his career, I believe, in Sacramento and stuff, but I just don't know if he's the guy that's going to get them over the hump. I think Kendrick Perkins was brought on. It's interesting. Kendrick Perkins was brought on in this case to deal with the Lakers, and right now, as we can see here, the Lakers, which we'll get to in a moment with the Lakers, but they might match up great. The Lakers have Kendrick Perkins out there to play, be it Bynum or in this case now Howard, but the league itself has changed so much that wingmen are what we're looking at. So OKC's got to change their tactics a little bit, tactics in the playoffs, but we'll see how it plays out for them. I think Miami's chances. Last point I like to make as far as who's making the playoffs. I think right now the only real question, I don't think the Lakers will make the playoffs. They're 3 or 4 games back at the moment. Don't see it happening. In the East, I give a prediction. I'm putting myself out on the limb. I think one of Philadelphia, Detroit, or Toronto, I think are going to make the playoffs, and I think the Bucks are going to slide out of that A spot. So those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Just hit me up on the comments box, and tell me what you think about it. Hey, like the video if you like what you hear. I'll have another one out next week, and I'll talk to you later.